everybody, it is Julie. Welcome back to Pages and Pens. Today I am here with my very first Authortube video. Guys, this is something that I'm going to be doing on my channel more often. I am starting off with the Authortube Newbie tag. Number 2 is what genres do I write in. The first draft that I just finished is a YA. Right now, it's a YA paranormal fantasy series. However, I am relatively certain that I will be aging it up from YA to new adult and really trying to hit the new adult paranormal and fantasy genres. I just don't think that there's enough new adult aged fantasy, and I'm really hoping to be able to do that. So my story will be going into new adult and fantasy, but fantasy and paranormal are what I really like to write, just because it's what kind of really gets my imagination flowing. Number 5 is, are you self-published, published, or yet to be published? I am self-published. My first book, Shoot Down the Wendy Bird, a collection of flash fiction and poetry, is self-published, and I did that through CreateSpace and KDP or Amazon Publishing. So that's what I did for my first short story collection. I will be finishing up the edits on current book 1 of this series, and I wrote it as YA, so I have to edit it as YA so that when I go to publishers, if they want it to be YA, it's ready as YA, and then I want to adapt it to new adult and then also let them know that that's what I prefer. But my goal is to pitch to publishers, and if for some reason that doesn't work in an amount of time that I find reasonable, then I will move on to self-publishing. Don't think that there's any reason not to self-publish. I think that there's a lot more creative control that you hold when you're self-publishing, and plenty of self-published authors are still getting a ton of recognition. I don't think it's as mandatory anymore that you go through publishing houses, but I'd like to at least pitch this one and see what I can get. Realizing that the authors that you admire are human, but that they're also trying to help other writers is like beyond everything. So that's, you know, hopefully what I hope I can do for some people with some of these author related tags and videos. I think that if you're going to want to make a decent go of it, and you really want to be a writer, and you really want to get your books sold and make them as great as they can be, then you treat it like a job, and you treat it with respect, and you make sure that you're making time for it. Today I am here with an Authortube video. It is the Meet My Main Character tag, and I'm very excited to talk to you about her. I love her. I mean, I've been thinking about her for the last 4+ years, so I've spent plenty of time with her, but just kind of having a general idea of her is not the same as having been writing in her point of view for the last, several months. So this is going to be about Ashlyn, and Ashlyn is my main character in a right now trilogy, might be series, not quite sure. Could be a duology. We're gonna see how the continuation of these books goes as I write them, but right now I've got about 3 books fleshed out, and we'll see where it goes from there. She's a lot like me in a lot of ways and a lot different than me in a lot of ways, but Ash is strong, sarcastic, and funny, and a lot of things that I am. She doesn't take any bullshit, but she gets easily overwhelmed by things and does have like some anxiety kind of issues, which I do too, but in general is just this amazing character who, it's hard to kind of talk about who she is and the role that she plays without giving away spoilers, but in my world for these books, there are witches, there are fae, there is this kind of overlap between the two worlds. Fairy kind of runs parallel to our world. The high fae, the court fae, are able to kind of enter and go as they please between the two worlds, although they really don't. For the most part, they stay in fairy, except for those naughty princes and princesses who want to come over here and kind of cohort with some of the humans. And Ash knows nothing about them for the beginning part of the books. And then there's also this magical element to the world. It's also set in our world, so Ash kind of only knows about magic where it comes to tarot and Wicca and things that are in our world now. But there's also this kind of wild elemental magic that she doesn't know much about that she ends up possessing. So there's a lot of different magical elements to the book, and then this fantasy fae world that kind of mingle all in one. And Ash kind of finds herself torn between both of those worlds, kind of important in both of them in different ways. and doesn't really know her role, doesn't know where she fits into the things, doesn't really know how things are going to play out for her. There are multiple POVs in my book. You also get Reardon. Reardon is Ash's love interest, and he also becomes important to her in other ways as well. Reardon is still, you still get his POV, but Ash is still my main character, but Reardon ends up being incredibly important and dynamic and complex. He's got a troubled backstory as well that's revealed throughout the book one, but he is a transplant to the US from Ireland after his parents tragically die. His aunt, his mother's sister, has come over to the US. He decides to come over here and live with her because he just needs space from his brother. He needs space from home and kind of the tragedy that befell his parents. So he's over here in the US now. If you could meet your main character in real life, what would you say to them? If I could meet Ash in real life, I'd probably ask her to introduce me to some of the fae that she knows or gets to know, because some of those fae, man, I would like to know some of those fae. I'd also just probably squeeze her and hug her and love her and want to like sit down and like hang out, have a drink with her. What would I say to Reardon? I'd probably just want to squeeze him and hug him and tell him it's all going to be okay. I'm sorry I put him through what I put him through, but that it's all for a greater good, and he's going to find his place even in a world that he doesn't feel like he wants to be a part of. He's going to find something that feels right for him, and to kind of trust the process, and that I really love him even if I haven't treated him so great at times. Today I am here with the work in progress tag, and I have it pulled up on my computer, which is over to the side of me. I'm going to go over the questions. A fantasy series that I am working on. I have finished book one. I'm in the editing process to get it ready for beta readers, and I have started writing book two. Now, while book two is what I'm technically writing right now, I am mainly focused on book one and my editing process for that. So I am going to answer all these questions for book one because I don't want to spoil anything for book two. What is the working title of your book? And I did not have a working title of my book while I was writing it. However, since then I have loosely titled all three of the books in my series that I have mapped out so far. Book one will be Dawn Till Dusk. It's kind of reminiscent of the way that I guess Ashlyn's life is going. You know, things are really, really good at the beginning of the book and they tend to darken. So you go from dawn till dusk. It's a progression, and then those kind of vibes for the titles continue through the rest of the books, but I'm not going to tell you all of them yet. We'll see how it goes, but that's the tentative title for right now. Number two is, where did the idea for my book come from? And I think I've answered this in a Q&A before. I don't remember where exactly it came from. I do know that I've had it in my head for about 5 years. I've always been obsessed with fae, but I've always been very, very intrigued by witches as well. And I knew that I wanted a crossover between the two, and I wanted something that included both of those things. I guess the idea just kind of came to me from there. It came to me in bits and pieces. I outlined books 1, 2, and 3 about 4.5, 5 years ago, so it's been a while. Number 3 is, what genre does my book fall under? And this is a difficult one for me. I wrote it as YA, but I'm going to edit it and publish it hopefully as new adult, which does not necessarily mean a ton of smexy time. What it does mean is that it's college-aged kids. And I really thought that there was a lack of college-aged fantasies, and I wanted to be able to provide that. It's hard for me to describe book one as a fantasy. It may read more like a contemporary to a lot of people because it's set in a world that is going to be recognizable, even if there's magical elements that aren't an urban fantasy, I guess, since it does have like contemporary feels and a world that you know, but then also some magical elements. It's a process to figure out where this book falls, guys. All I know is that I love it. I hope you love it too. If I had to tell you in one sentence what Dawn Till Dusk was, I would say it is about uncovering family secrets and discovering your place in a world that looks nothing like you used to think it looked. How long did it take me to write the first draft of the manuscript? The actual writing process of book one took me a little bit under 2 months. I love the way that I write characters. I love the way that I write dialogue. I think that it's a fast-moving book. I'm really excited about doing the edits so that I can make it a little bit more cohesive and a little bit more real and rich and deep. I'm really diving into some of these scenes and making them feel a lot more like Shoot Down the Wendy Bird, where I pay more attention to like specific moments instead of the broad scheme, and making sure that each scene is as rich as it can be. I'm really excited to do those edits. They're gonna take time, so I know you guys really want this book, but I want to make it great for you. Transformation in this girl who is, by all means, beautiful at the start of the book and beautiful at the end, and she's strong at the beginning and she's strong at the end, and you have no transformation in terms of who she is just because she learns about these powers. I've tried to stay true to her from the beginning to the end of the book and the beginning to the end of the series. Hopefully that is a really big sticking point for you too, because there is a little bit of like the chosen one-ish to this, you know, like she does have a very big role to play in both the Fae and the human world. And I don't want it to be too tropey. You know, she struggles a lot with learning that, and it's not always easy for her, and I think that that's going to be hopefully a big selling point, is that I'm trying to approach it from a different way. So we'll see. You guys will have to tell me when I get this to beta readers, which I'm so nervous about but so ready for. The writing of the first draft is so much easier than the editing of the first draft. I'm intimidated by the editing, and that makes it really difficult for me to sit down and focus on it. I'm very lucky in that when I stop the writing process, I have, for the most part, a technically sound first edit. Grammatically, it's pretty good. A lot of my edits come by way of plot holes, character holes, things like that. This is the binder of my first draft of Dawn Till Dusk. This was unnamed at the time I started, but this is my full manuscript of my first edit. What you're going to see in here are a whole bunch of colored tabs. These were courtesy of Amber from Amber's Books and More, and she and I got together and did a whole writers weekend where we peer edited one another's work, and we did different tabs. So yellow were for plot holes, purple were for character questions, orange were for general notes, blue was for over or under description, needing more, needing less, and then we made notes in there. There's also just plenty of times where we just had questions for one another. So that's what all of these colored tabs are for. That worked really well for both of us, I think. And having somebody to live peer edit with was phenomenal. I got to sit across from her while I got her first reactions to my story, where she laughed, where she gasped, where she had to stop and put it down and be like, where is this story going? Where is this particular plot line going? I need to know. And it was so gratifying and so nerve-wracking all at once. It was terrifying and thrilling and amazing, and I loved going through hers. She loved going through mine. That was the first round of edits, was peer edits, and then that only went to a certain point. So the end of this, from this like purple tab on, so from like here on, this part I wrote after we met up, so nobody has peer edited that particular portion. I have gotten myself into the mindset that I can only do this first round of edits and then I need to send it out into the world, and that's just not true. I also ran into like a little bit of a wall in my book writing. So I had book one of my trilogy completely written, and I was going through my edits, my personal edits before beta readers on that. And then I'd also started, like, in the downtime where I just needed a little bit of distance from book one, I started writing book two, and I got about like 60,000 words into book two, and I realized that I was like writing book two in a way that tried to correct book one, which is ridiculous because book one's not out yet. I can correct it now. I was finding my characters really struggling to make decisions and actions and plot points that were happening make sense. And I realized that book one was not what I wanted it to be. Not because it is horrible, not because the concept or the idea or the characters are bad, but just because it really needed some honing. Book one takes place mainly in our world, and there's not a ton of crossover between our world and fairy. You guys know that my book is a Fae Witch crossover, and it really felt very contemporary with just like little magical aspects. Whereas book two takes place a lot in fairy, and it felt very fantasy based. So we had like a contemporary start and a fantasy second, and there was not enough mixture in between, so I need to work on that. I'm not getting rid of the story, but I'm going to rework it. I don't know if it needs a full rewrite or if I can work with what I have as of right now, because I've been hiding from it, and I haven't been writing, and I haven't been doing anything, because I felt really dejected, and I felt like a failure, because I want the book to be better, and I want the characters to be better, and I want to be better. I want it to be good. You know, I know it's not going to be a masterpiece, but I want it to be good. And I just wasn't happy with it yet. And I had a lot of people that really encouraged me to like, go ahead and just send it to beta readers, or don't scrap it. You know, it's just writer self-doubt creeping in. And it is 100% writer self-doubt creeping in, but it's also me as a professional editor and me as a lifelong writer knowing it can be better. you know, and it should be better. So this is not just purely self-doubt. This is me knowing I have way too much room for improvement for me to go ahead and start pitching this. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a step back and rework it and try to make it great. And you guys have been really, really good about coming along the journey with me and staying up to date and keeping up with me on Instagram stories and motivating me and encouraging me. And I just wanted to be like really transparent, give you guys an update of where I am. That's where I'm at right now. And it sucks. It's really, really hard. I know this is what it needs to be, and I know this is what I need to do, and I know that this gives me the best possible chance for book one and the best book for you guys. And I'm really proud of myself for being brave enough to do that, because I know it's really easy to just say, I have 106,000 words, it's good enough, I'm going to go ahead and self-publish and not worry about it. Or I'm going to go ahead and beta read and not worry about it, and then not be receptive to feedback and just say like, no, I know it's good. I know it isn't. I know it needs to be better. So it's kind of freeing to say like, hey, this is not good. But it's really daunting to look at reworking that much of a book. And the idea of taking over this book again is really, really stressful for me. Right now, I'm just really, really struggling more than I realized I was. I'm really just struggling to try to keep it together and move forward. It's really, really scary not knowing what my future looks like in terms of a job and income. And it's really scary not knowing what my future looks like in terms of a writer. And these books that I really love and I've been thinking about for so long. It's been a little bit of like a raw and like really rough time for me right now as I try to do both of these things together. And I don't know what that looks like in terms of my writing then. You know, I don't know if I need to put it off until I figured out the job situation. I don't know if I need to use it as an outlet during this situation. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to be crying today, but again, things change with me. You just never know. I put aside 106,000 words and said, "Ya garbage," and they're in giant binders up in my closet, relegated to a shelf that I don't want to look at right now. And I rewrote the entirety of that book. I sat down and I didn't take anything from that original write. I rewrote entirely. The plot changed, the twist changed, the villain changed, the world changed, the characters stayed the same, but characters that you don't meet until book 2 started coming into book 1 because I had to create this urban fantasy world, and book 2 was very fantasy based, so I had to bring some of those characters over early and kind of build them into the storyline of book 1. And it changes a lot of what I had for book 2 because I had already started writing book 2 and was about 60,000 words into book 2. That's going to entirely change because book 1 changed, the villain changed, the ending changed. All of that to say, I have an ending for this draft. It is done. I ended this draft at like 96,958 words, so like 97,000 words. Just about where my first draft ended on the first go round. I have a lot of reworking to do. Because I knew the characters and a lot of what was going on really well, I ended up focusing a lot on plot because this was an entirely new plot. It needs a lot of work. So I know you guys get so excited and you're so invested in my writing process, and I love that. And I feel like I've been a little bit more closed off on sharing how this rewrite has been going because I was so open on the first one and then it tanked. A lot of the doubts that I had for the first book are gone. New ones have replaced them. I always at the end of my book start wondering if I just have the dumbest idea for a book ever. Somewhere around 95,000 words and I see the end coming and I'm like, this is garbage. Why am I writing this? Nobody wants to read this. I know it isn't. I know people are excited about it, but I have more work to do post the end on this book than anything else I've ever written. I've done a first draft now 3 times. Just know that at least I didn't quit. I didn't fall to self-doubt. If you're wondering how much of this was easier because I had another draft to go off of, none of it. Editing, Julie. Stress-filled ball of anxiety, Julie. I think I'm finally hitting on some good stuff. I've gotten feedback from Amber. Amber's here. Here she be. Yay! And she's been giving me some immediate feedback on like scenes that I added and stuff that I added where I was like, what am I doing? I shouldn't be writing more. But I'm writing like grittier urban fantasy scenes, which is what I need to be doing. I did 14 hours the first week. And then I realized that burnout was going to be really, really real for me. I wasn't reading. I just wasn't balancing very well. I just want to make sure that I'm making it a habit to really work on my book. I realize the longer it's mine, the more I don't want to let go because I'm just terrified. So I have to move forward at some point with letting other people read this. And I know it's not horrible, it's just still not as good as it can be, and I want to just keep working on it, want to just keep working on it, want to just keep working on it, and I can't do that. Like, it's not going to be good for my mental health, and it's just not going to be productive. So at some point I have to let go. The doubt is so real this far into the game, which is why I feel like I need to step back, let somebody assess, and then let me know, because I could go back in and try to like fix things, but it might not need fixing. But I feel like now I'm panicking and I feel like I should go fix something that might be okay. I'm ready for some space. For the first time in the 5 years of this story, I gave my book out to two very specific beta readers. I gave them to two people who I knew read very differently and looked at the book from very different angles. And my edits are back. Initial feedback from both of the girls is that they really love the story. It really worked for them. It was gripping and page turning, and they enjoyed the read, which is amazing. This is a huge undertaking. This book is long. My timeline is like amped up. I want to work on this. I want to make it a priority. I'm nervous to see how I'm going to like fix the things that need fixing. This is Le Book, and it is in just like a plain black binder that is 3-ringed. I believe every 100 pages she put a little tab with her thoughts, which is awesome sauce. Hopefully you guys are as excited for me as I am, and it's officially added on my Goodreads under my author profile. I've also looked into a couple of different websites like Query Tracker where I can query agents. I've looked into the specifications for applying to different publishing houses with my manuscript. Querying scares me. I've decided to go and query for literary agents so that they can then go to publishing houses and try to sell my book for me, and I'm not going to go directly to publishing houses. I have a query letter that I am happy with. I have subscribed to Query Tracker, which is a place where you can get access to agents, figure out if they're accepting submissions. You can search via what they're looking for. So I searched for new adult and fantasy, found a whole list of agents that are looking for those genres, and then found out what their submission is like. And I'm going to start batches of query letters. I'm expecting rejections. I'm not expecting to get signed or have an agent want me right away. That would be amazing. But I'm preparing for the absolute worst, which is that nobody wants me, and then I have to look at another batch of agents, which is fine. I don't know how I'm feeling right now, other than the fact that I am so nervous. I've had a lot of people tell me this is a great book. I've had a lot of people tell me that I'm not gonna have a problem getting it published, and then that has kind of built up this, like, I can do it kind of mentality around me, which I appreciate and I need, but also makes me so nervous to face like my actual first rejections in regards to this story, because so far it's all been really positive. I'm open to it, of course. I know what's going to happen. This is a very new experience for me. Writing and editing is not. Querying definitely is. I am out of my element, quite frankly petrified. And my manuscript is long. It's 117,000 plus words, which is large for a book, and especially for an author that has not been published before. Let's submit some queries. Oh my god, I'm gonna throw up. Okay, I'm gonna turn you around. We're gonna do this. So we're gonna go ahead and hit send. Oh my god, 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 oh my god. Wait, I hit it and it didn't do anything. I hit it. Oh my god, it's gone. Oh my shit, it's gone. We're gonna send that one too. Yep. Okay, that one sent. Oh my god. See you later, Susie. There you go, Hannah. On the 23rd, I received my first ever rejection. I have popped that cherry, burst that bubble, and officially delved into the world of querying and rejections. Today is a big day. Today is September 5th. I'm hoping to garner some attention from those tweets. I'm not overly stressed about it. It's just something fun and different that I've never tried before, so I'm going to give it a go. My first tweet has been sent. A team of people helping me with retweeting and commenting and making sure my tweets are boosted. And I definitely had a super self-doubty night the other night, and I was like, I think I just might be a girl with stories to tell, but they're just not good enough. And I'm just not good enough. Maybe I just have to find fulfillment in the writing process and in being creative and just treat it like therapy and not expect anything from it. And I freaked out because I was like, I don't know how to not do this. It's all I've ever wanted. I want this to work so badly, but maybe I'm just not good enough. And that happens sometimes. You can want something so bad and it's just not right. I don't think that's true. And I don't think that's my fate, but I definitely had like a full 24 hours where I was like, I'm never gonna cut it. And it sucked, guys. It sucked real bad. There's a part of me every time I do something like this that is expecting like a lightning strike of magic, just because I've always been a girl who believes in magic, but we'll wait and see, and I will keep you guys updated. I do have one like that is from an editor at an indie publishing company. So I will probably check out that company, check out that editor. I think at this point I've gotten a rejection from everybody in that initial list. So that's amazing. So as you guys know, I have been working for a very long time on a book, on querying a book. It started to really depress me that I was still working this hard on this book that is apparently in a dead genre that's harder to publish for as a new author that has a word count that's advanced. So I'm really trying to cut back on my word count. I'm really trying to lower that and make it a little bit more approachable from a querying standpoint. That process has been a lot longer than I wanted it to be. I have not enjoyed it, but I am still pushing through. You guys know I like a challenge, I like a goal. A lot of people don't understand like how long it is between writing a first draft, writing a second draft, doing edits, querying, this whole entire process. This has felt so much longer to me than I even thought it would ever feel. But I kind of like doing the work for it, and I also feel good because I'm not stalling, right? Like I'm not just continuing this editing process in order to stall the fear of rejection from querying. I've queried. I've gotten used to the rejection. That's not what I'm worried about. I just really want to have my best foot forward now when I go forward with querying. And I realized that I maybe didn't have that the first time. You live and you learn and you grow, and that's kind of what I'm doing. Today, I am here to share some really exciting news with you. I couldn't be happier to be able to share this part of my writing journey with you. There are many of you who have followed me and this channel through a lot of writing and a lot of writing sprints and a lot of conversation about my projects, and there are a lot of you who are very invested in my phase story. And I have done Meet My Main Character and Current Work in Progress videos all about my contemporary fantasy / paranormal romance / urban fantasy genre mix up. And you've come with me through my whole querying journey, and now I have some exciting news to share, and that is that I have a publishing deal for my book. What this means is my book will be coming to market. You will be able to buy my Fae Witch story. You will be able to meet my characters. You will be able to see the world that I have created, the relationships I've created, the chaos and drama that I've created. And I am thrilled about that. I'm publishing the book whose title I have and I have to like actively fight not to say, but I am going to be publishing the book. I am so glad that I get to take you along this journey. This is like a running journal for myself to look back on too. I love taking you guys along this journey and just sharing my experiences with you and my successes with you, and this feels really, really right. I'm happy. I don't know if you can tell, my cheeks hurt. I'm very happy. Thank you for all of your support, all of your love, all of your encouragement and your kind words and your comments. They mean the world to me. And I know going forward that you're going to, support me, support this book. And this community has been so giving to me, both in the writing and the reading spheres. Like you guys have been amazing. So thank you so much. I appreciate you. And that's it for now. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up. Leave me a heart or the celebration balloons or champagne, or leave me an emoji down below to let me know how you're feeling about this news. I don't even know what mine would be, except for like the mind blown maybe. But leave me an emoji down below, and thank you in advance for all of your kind words and support. I appreciate you so much. And that's it for this video. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye, friends.